righty, good Saturday afternoon, everyone. On Fox 19 now, First Alert Meteorologist Brad Maushart with a winter storm update. It is 2:30 on the dot. We are, if you have just now catching on, we're going to be doing these cut-ins at the top of every hour from here on out. Meteorologist Stephanie Roberts will be in soon. We'll have Anna Duvall in soon as well this evening, so we'll have a couple Mets here on staff. Pretty much around the clock from here on out, working our way through the rest of today, tonight, through the overnight, and especially tomorrow, which looks to be the big day for us when it comes to snowfall. So, as you can see here behind me, what we already have going on is snow trying to spread through the tri-state. The air at the surface is still rather dry, right? So you're probably not seeing too many flakes just yet, but it's not going to take long for some of these more intense snow bands as they slide in to start to saturate the atmosphere, and then we'll see some flakes starting to stick tonight. With that said, this is going to be a high-impact storm here for the Ohio Valley, for much of the country, right, including here in Cincinnati. The totals that are coming in, outside of a little bit of sleet, that's the only issue, and that's going to be mostly in our southernmost communities only. That's the only thing that could hold down some of these totals. The rest of us just north of that sleet band are going to see significant amounts of snowfall. The totals continue to trend up. You just, as a meteorologist, you watch the trends, you watch and hope that at some point the models want to come back to reality. And the reality is that we're going to see significant snow, about 10 to 16 inches. That is everybody, right? Low bar. I really don't think we see many spots with less than 8 inches, 8, 9, 10 inches. The areas that are going to be the areas that see some sleet mix in. Again, that'll mostly be our southernmost communities. I'll cover that here in just a bit. I don't want to make these too long. I think I'll do a later one, probably around 6 o'clock when we usually do it on Saturday. I think it's 6 o'clock on Saturday. If not, it'll be 6, 7, somewhere in there. I'll do a longer one of these. I'm just going to try to make these quick here every half hour because for the most part here, the next couple of hours, it's going to be kind of a slow burn, working our way into the more intense snowfall, which is expected to arrive after midnight tonight. So high impact. You still have some time to get out, right? We're not going to see a ton of snowfall between now and dinner time, but the later we get into the evening, the more likely the roads are to be slick, and then after midnight, likely to be snow covered. So here we go. We'll work our way through this. The Cincinnati side, I thought that looked pretty cool. I don't know why this camera, by the way, is so bright. I tried taking the iris down on that, but either way, if you've been driving around town and you looked at the Cincinnati sign today, it's a little new look. It's some snowfall accumulating there on the Cincinnati side, and that is what we're dealing with right now. 13 degrees, still snow-free, but look at the dew point. That's the big indicator right now of why we're not seeing any snow yet at the surface, while the radar behind me is pretty busy. The air is bone dry. Dew point is 8 below. Right? Dew point being a measure of moisture in the air. So the lower that number is, the less moisture there is. So the flakes are coming down. They're kind of sublimating, evaporating before they even hit the ground right now. But as more moisture continues to flow into the area, which is going to happen through the rest of this evening, that air will become saturated from top to bottom, and then we'll start to see some flakes flying. So it's just a matter of time here. The window for arrival is 1 to 4. We do have those flakes aloft. They'll start to reach the ground here in most spots before 4 o'clock. Temperatures on the left feels like temperatures on the right. It will be all snow to start. These, of course, being the temperatures at the surface. We will see a little nose of warm air aloft start to sneak in through Sunday morning as this big storm system gets a little bit closer to us. But outside of impacting just our southernmost communities, most of us, it's going to be snow for the duration of this event. And if you've been paying attention, they also issued an extreme cold watch into next week. That's the second part of the storm we're keeping a close eye on. We'll see wind chill values 10 to 20 below into Monday and Tuesday. So the stuff that does fall, it's going to be here for a while. This is not just a high impact event, the day of. It's going to be a problem all day Sunday. We're going to have these high impacts to travel into Monday, cold temperatures into Tuesday, and then another slim chance for some snow showers arrives by Wednesday of this coming week. So right now, I know this looks pretty busy looking at it. A lot of this is not hitting the ground. You're probably looking out the window right now, even downtown, and saying, I don't see any flakes flying just yet, but it will. Like I said, we just have very dry air at the surface. Once that becomes saturated, it won't take long to see some of this start to stick. A little further off to the west, you can see some darker blue shades starting to sneak across from portions of, let's say, the I-69 corridor between Indy and Evansville. That is going to help to saturate the atmosphere and get stuff to start to fall here locally pretty shortly. So it's just a matter of time. Winter storm warning is in effect. It went into effect at noon and will continue all the way through noon on Monday. I think it went into effect at 10 a.m. Either way, it doesn't matter. It's in effect now, runs through 12 p.m. Monday, not 12 today. Obviously, we're past that. Not 12 tomorrow. All the way till Monday. Most of the snow activity starts to wrap up by about sunrise on Monday, but like I said, the impacts will linger far past that. So that comes as no surprise, no changes there. The only changes that I've really made here to any of the forecast, timing's been the same. This has been a very well advertised, very consistent, storm, and that's what we like in terms of forecasters. You don't want any big swings. The only thing I've changed just a little bit have been the totals, because they're coming in really hot again. Not just one model, but all of them, except for one of them. One outlier. Just really, really spicy with the totals out there. So, again, just prepare by this evening, about 9, 10 o'clock. Try to be where you need to be and just plan on staying there through Sunday. If you have to head out Sunday, that's when these intensities, the snow intensities, are really going to pick up. You'll see it here on, this is the HRRR model. It doesn't matter. It's just one of the models. It's a high-resolution model. But that brings, snow consistently in through the rest of this evening. After 9 to 10 o'clock, we'll see a slight uptick in the snowfall intensities. And then you see those really dark blue shades start to swing back through in a kind of narrow band here. Let me pull out my little pointer arrow. These right here is what I'm talking about. A narrow band of very intense snowfall rates. That's probably about an inch or more an hour. So one, that's hard for road crews to keep up through the overnight. Two, it's bitter cold, so that doesn't help them either. And, third, we'll have some of that snow blowing around a bit. It'll blow back onto the road. So it might look like the road crews haven't been trying. Trust me, they're trying their best, right? There's only so much you can do in a long-duration event like this to keep up with these intense snowfall totals. That's why it's going to be a high-impact event. The high-intensity snow continues right through Sunday into the morning hours, and this is the dividing line. That pink-shaded area down here, that is the sleet. A little warm nose of air aloft that's going to try to push in. Right, this has been pretty consistently showing up now the last couple of days too, as we get this high-resolution imagery. Jen, I'll talk about that in a second. Jen was saying she missed the beginning of this. Southern Campbell County, are we getting sleet? Sleet and freezing rain are two different things. Right, there's a great example that you can get in your head and picture this. Think of sleet like a donut, like a frosted donut with little sprinkles on it. Right, sleet is little pellets of hail. So think of that as a donut with sprinkles, whereas freezing rain is just like a glazed donut, right? What happens with freezing rain is it falls as liquid, hits a surface, be it a power line, a tree, or the roads, and just freezes on contact, solid. There's no, granules. It's liquid and it instantly freezes. We're not going to see the freezing rain in our area at all, which is great news, but a little bit farther off to the south, if I zoom this out a bit, they will be seeing that down through southern Kentucky, down into portions of Tennessee. So that is going to be a major issue off to our south. Here, it will be the sleet. So think of it like the sprinkled donut, where we could see a little bit of that here in our southernmost communities. And what that does, one, it makes the shoveling a little bit more difficult because it becomes heavy. But it also can compress the snow and keep the totals down a bit. As you can see, though, it's not much of the tri-state. It's just this little sliver here that's going to be off to the south. We'll see that try to pull up a little bit more into Brown, Adams, Mason, Robertson counties, maybe a little bit here of our southernmost communities, but it's going to be more of us than not just ahead of that line or just north of that line, and that's where you have the highest snowfall totals. Unfortunately, that puts it right over downtown. That snowfall continues in high intensity through about 3 to 4 o'clock Sunday, and then finally starts to let up a bit by Sunday evening into Monday. We're not going to be out of the woods yet because then the cold air settles in and it'll be brutal into next week. Here's one way of looking at our snowfall totals, right? Because everybody's trying to plan out the rest of this evening, tomorrow, what to do. If you have plans still this evening, you're in okay shape. The roads aren't going to be perfect because we will start to see some snow sticking between now and midnight, but this will be manageable, especially if you have all-wheel drive. I'm not recommending you try to get out tonight and have a great time, because if you start stretching past midnight, snowfall totals are going to pick up in a hurry. Between midnight and 6, we're going to add about 4 to 6 inches of snow for a total of 5 to 9 on the ground by 6 a.m. Sunday. So try to be where you need to be, ideally by this evening, but before midnight, because that's when those snowfall rates are really going to ramp up. By 6 a.m., we're expecting 5 to 9 on the ground. And by Sunday, at a minimum, other than the sleet areas, it's 10 to 16 inches of snow. These models, I'm telling you, they're coming in crazy today. I'm trying to keep it a little bit more realistic, a little bit of compaction. I'm trying to factor in a whole lot of things up here. There's a lot going on, plus it's Saturday, so I'm like half alive. But by 11 p.m., as that snow starts to wind down, about 10 to 16 inches of snow. That's an insane forecast, right? Our highest ever one-day snowfall total is 11.8 back in 1998. That's possibly in jeopardy. We'll have to keep an eye on that, right? Here's the map, but I just wanted to give you kind of a breakdown, the hour by hour, what you're expecting, so you know what you can kind of handle. After midnight, most people just please stay home. That's just the best thing. Tomorrow, you're going to have a hard time, even with four-wheel drive, kind of getting around. I'm not saying it's going to be impossible. I can't control what people do, but it's going to be a lot. And if you can, through the day tomorrow, every hour, not every hour, but every couple of hours, if you want to get out there and just try to keep up, it would be better than trying to get out there after this is all fallen Monday morning and try to take care of this. Because one, it's going to be brutally cold, but two, 16 inches, 13, 14, 15, it's a lot of snow. It's a lot of weight. I'm not thinking it's going to be particularly wet or heavy snow, but there is a chance, especially down there off to the south where sleet may mix in, that you're going to have some really heavy snow. For the rest of us, it should be relatively fluffy once you're north of that line of mixing, but it's still a lot, right? 10 to 13 inches of snow. I don't have a weight off the top of my head, but that is a ton of snow, right? So has the potential to break some records, both today. Today's record's relatively safe unless we get a big chunk of snow at the airport just around 10 or 11 o'clock tonight. Tomorrow, I think we break the all-time record for the day, not the all-time, maybe. All-time still in jeopardy, too, but the daily record, I think tomorrow is like 5 inches or something like that. I have to write it down somewhere, but yeah, it's going to be kind of just messy out there. Again, I didn't want these to go too late and too long. I'm going to do more of a full update, and I'll take questions and everything a little bit later this evening because we're doing these every every hour, the bottom of the hour, so 2:30, 3:30, 4:30. We're going to be doing these digital hits. At the top of every hour, we're going to be on the air, and we'll put it in a double box. So I know there's a basketball game on. We're not going to try to impact that. And we got other programming going on this evening, so we're not going to try to cover up the screen because, quite frankly, I don't want to do that. It's not a hurricane, right? But it is important because people need to know, and we're trying to keep up to date on what's happening. That's what we're looking forward to in low temperature land. This is not factoring in the wind chill, and I haven't fully finished this forecast yet because, again, I'm trying to do 30,000 things at the same time. But brutal cold next week. That's why the extreme cold watch is in place with some breezy conditions Monday and Tuesday. It could at times feel like more than 20 degrees below zero. That is not a fun time, and that means road crews, despite their best efforts, you can only do so much with that, right? Salt does not really work particularly well at 15 degrees, if at all. At 10 degrees, it stops working unless you have some sort of chemical additive, which is expensive, and a lot of people aren't going to do that. You might see it at the airport to try to get ahead of things, but that snow that we see, and it will be a lot of snow, is going to be sticking around for quite a while. So that's going to do it for now. I'm going to wrap it up so I can get a bite to eat or something here between the next hit, which is on the air here at Fox 19. That'll be at the top of the hour here in about 15 minutes. We'll see you there, and then another 40 minutes or whatever. I'll see you again here online. If anybody has any questions or you get some early snow reports coming in, let me know. For the most part, it should be pretty calm here. Like I said, it's a slow burn getting into this until the air gets saturated, and after that, it's like all bets are off. So the highest impacts, again, just reiterating, are going to be tomorrow. Sunday. Very high impacts. Plan on staying home for the second half of the weekend. That'll do it for right now. We will see you again coming up here in just a bit on the air, and, of course, through the evening. There will be 3 meteorologists here, so we'll keep it up to date. And then late tonight, unless something has changed and I just haven't been able to read the email, I believe we're on for 2 hours, starting at 10 o'clock. We'll also have another hour at 11 as the snow starts to roll on in. All right, be safe out there. Wrap up the evening plans tonight, and stay safe out there for the rest of the weekend. And try your best to stay warm. We'll see you again here in just a bit, guys. Thanks.